Now, Erling Haaland is more than just a machine, because Haaland has advanced from being a potential world-class player to being on the verge of these two, the GO8 category, with his recent performances over the last 2 seasons. Is Haaland truly just a few games away from surpassing Messi or perhaps his hero Ronaldo as the greatest player of his generation? Nobody is paying attention to this frightening reality concerning Erling Haaland. First of all, I have to return. I'm referring to 2019, when Erling's life was about to take a drastic turn. Haaland was a typical adolescent boy that summer, with aspirations of being the best in the game. Since he was already playing for the Molde Young squad at the time, he actually had a pretty good start. However, the Haaland of today was not the same as that of the past. Yes, he is quite thin. If he were to shed a few more pounds, he would resemble me from high school. However, Haaland's struggle to reach the top wasn't an isolated one. His journey was supported by his father, Alfie, a former professional. Alfie eventually discovered the covered book that would transform Erling's professional path. Patrice Evert received an invitation to join the Haalands for supper. As they conversed, Evert revealed to them the diet of Cristiano Ronaldo, which was the key to one of the GOAT's success. Erling quickly adopted Ronaldo's eating habits after learning about his covered cheat meal plan, which consisted of the same food 6 times a day, including rice, sea bass, veggies, and boiled chicken. And before long, the outcomes were beginning to show. He scored 9 goals in a FIFA Under-20 World Cup encounter later that month. 3 hat-tricks in a single game, that is. Haaland had begun making his presence known on the continent with this performance and his now developed physique. However, people didn't start paying attention or taking notes on how exceptional Haaland truly was until he did it, on the largest stage in European football. September 17, 2019. What started off as a typical Champions League Group E opening matchup between RB Salzburg and Schenk became one of the season's most anticipated contests. Thanks to you-know-who, his Champions League debut included a hat-trick. Not even Messi and Ronaldo, in both their illustrious careers, had managed to do that. With this match ball, Haaland was taking the whole of Europe by storm, and he didn't stop there too. He scored in 4 out of the remaining 5 group stage games, taking his Champions League goal tally at the end of his first group stage season to 8 goals in 5 games. And with Salzburg failing to make it out of the group stage, dropping into the Europa League, there was no way a talent like Erling Haaland was going to down with them. And when the news came out that he was going to be on the move, it was almost as if the GO8 prophecy surrounding Haaland was about to be fulfilled. For all the world that winter, it looked like the stars had aligned for Haaland to move to Manchester United. The skill comps were coming out fast on YouTube on how he could possibly link up with his new teammates at United. And to make it even better, Haaland's Norwegian hero and former coach at Molde, Ole Gunnar, was coach of Manchester United. It should have been a done deal, and Haaland should have moved to United like Ronaldo did all those years back. But in the end, it never happened, and with United very much undecided about the transfer, another club, who'd been watching Haaland progress, decided they weren't to wait any longer. Swooped in to get their man, and days later, Haaland was repping black and yellow. No, not Wiz Khalifa. I meant this black and yellow. He'd signed for Dortmund for a fee of $22 million. At first, missing out on a club like United seemed like a bad deal for Haaland. But behind the scenes, this was all planned, to make sure he could develop without any added pressure. See, Dortmund had always been a team that gets the best out of young talent, and the plan must have been to ease Haaland into the action. That's why he started on the bench in his first game against Augsburg. But in case you haven't caught wind by now, the kid's built different. Yeah, he came on as a sub and scored a hat-trick. What is it with this guy and match balls? Now repping Dortmund, Haaland was playing in the Champions League knockout stage for the first time in his career against PSG in the round of 16. And in the first leg at Signal Iduna Park, Haaland stole the show by firing a rocket straight into Paris turf. I still can't get this goal out of my mind. The way the net sounded when Haaland struck this one was insane, for another reason too. Because minutes before Haaland scored this one, PSG had cancelled out his opening goal, thanks to an assist from this guy, Kylian Mbappé. The first time he and Haaland were going to go up against each other directly, and unknown to them, they were both going to define the next era of the GO debate. Back to Haaland now, and despite a pandemic-hit first season with Dortmund, he still managed to bag an incredible 44 goals and 10 assists in 40 appearances, enough to help him win this prestigious award, the Golden Boy Trophy for the best young player in the world. Haaland was fast on the rise, and his next season was pretty much the same thing. 41 goals and 12 assists in 41 matches, including international hat-tricks for Norway against Gibraltar and Romania. That season, Haaland started bagging major awards too. He won the Champions League Golden Boot with 10 goals, despite crashing out in the quarterfinal stage, and his link-up with guys like Gio Reyna, Jude Bellingham, and Jadon Sancho helped Dortmund win the DFB Pokal that year too. But also in 2020-21, Haaland started experiencing a series of injuries that reduced his playing time. Torn muscle fiber injuries keeping him out for a combined 6 weeks, as well as knee problems and hip flexor issues. The same injuries followed him into the 2021-22 season, where he only managed to play 30 games that season, still back in 29 goals and 8 assists in the process. But once his recovery was in full swing, with a combined total of 86 goals and 23 assists in 89 games for Dortmund, Haaland decided, after 2.5 years, that it was time to say goodbye to Signal Iduna Park and go home. Just like his dad had done all those years, Haaland was now going to play for Manchester City, after agreeing to a $62.5 million move to join them. Now the pressure was on. No offense to the Bundesliga, but the Premier League is the most watched league in the world, meaning Haaland was going to have way more eyes on him to see if he could pull it off week in and week out. And it's safe to say that the outcome was excellent. His first season with City earned him the Golden Boot, but this is only half the story. Even his teammates were growing weary of Haaland's incredible performance that season, and I'd heard that the Guinness guys were considering creating a specific page dedicated to his achievements. To demonstrate his skill, Haaland scored 12 goals in his following 7 Premier League games, including back-to-back hat-tricks at the Etihad against Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, and Manchester United, after scoring a brace against West Ham on the first day of the season. Yes, he gave those guys a serious thud. In addition to surpassing Andy Cole's 34 goals in the English domestic campaign, Haaland's 36 goals at the end of the league season surpassed the record for the most goals in a single Premier League season. He wasn't slowing down in the Champions League either. He scored in the first 3 games, including this incredible game-winning goal against his old squad. Damn, I can't possibly score a goal like that and not celebrate. But he once again grabbed everyone's attention in the round of 16 when he did something in the first leg against RB Leipzig that put him on the same table as Lionel freaking Messi. Lionel Messi, Haaland, and players from top 5 leagues who score 5 goals in a Champions League match. Lists end. In his first season at City, Haaland won the treble after helping the team win the Premier League, the Champions League, and the FA Cup. He also scored goals both at home and away against Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. Then came the awards, UEFA Player of the Year 2, the PFA Player of the Year accolade, and another Champions League Golden Boot. Regretfully, his outstanding accomplishments that year were insufficient to earn him the coveted Ballon d'Or. However, he would be on the right track to sharing a table with the GOATs and possibly even surpassing that if he continued to score goals and perhaps even started scoring them to help his country qualify for a tournament.